Wow, I'm constantly plagued by technical difficulties. I got everybody's texting me, "What's going on? Are you coming on?" So thank you so much. We have the Nature Queen herself, Karen Devens, and then we have Ronald Kotinsky, right?
Yes, you got it. You did. You said it right.
Ah, very, very good. So hi Liz. So I kind of let everybody kind of get on here and everything. Hi Dale. Um, we're going to be talking flamingos, and I'm going to be learning what in the world is a flamboyant flamingo. What is it?
A
I'm dying to
flamboyant.
know.
A
What
flamboyant.
is it?
Actually, a flamboyance is just a name they give to a. I think it's more than 2 or 3 flamingos. They call it a flamboyance. So it's just a name.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just a name given to a group of flamingos.
oh, so it's not a flamboyant flamingo.
It's a good name, I guess, for a very colorful bird.
Okay. I noticed that they're constantly looking around. They're like seem like to appear to be on high alert at all times. Is that
Yeah,
true?
they're very social for sure. They look at each other. They do look around. They are very cautious. But once you settle in, they kind of just ignore you. As long as you don't move around that much, if you sit still and you stay in the same spot, they will walk right past you. And I actually had that happen to me. I had them walk within probably 10 feet of me, as long as you don't move.
Wow. Hi, Linda. Hi, Essie. Um, everyone's getting on here. So, Karen, you're in a hotel right now, and
Yes.
you are actually on the hunt. Now, I just want to ask something. So, flamingos used to be they're considered native to Florida, but they're really not around. Is that I was reading that they were pretty much extinct because of people were harvesting their eggs and their feathers in the 1920s.
The feather
Um,
trade decimated them for sure. And also their meat. They were hunted for meat as well. But
a
Ronald,
flamingo?
do you know when they were here? And I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
my information is about the same as yours. So between 1870 and 1920, 21, they were harvested and pretty much wiped off the face of Florida, unfortunately. And then there was some
right.
protections put in place. I don't know the exact date, but there was laws enacted to protect. And it wasn't only the flamingos; it was egrets. Any wading bird was used. Unfortunately, their feathers were used for hats and clothing.
Wow. I did not know that. I'm telling I've heard sad stories. Dealing with Florida Country Magazine, and you deal with the old timers. They call it the curlew, which is the white ibis, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's plenty of those. Thankfully, there's a lot of those now, and I mean, I see them in
And
my yard all the time.
and they used to eat those back in the day,
Uh,
and I've met a lot of the old timers that they would go, we would eat those, and I'd go, you would eat those? And they said, oh yeah, my grandfather used to bring that home, and they called them curlews or something. And I
really?
go, yeah,
Didn't know that.
you don't eat them. But no, I'm pretty excited. So they have recently come back from Hurricane Idalia, right? That's when they showed
Well,
back up.
there is a population of around 20 that are native down in the Everglades near Flamingo. They're seen off and on by the staff that of the Everglades Park that were, but recently, as these have started to move south, the ones that were blown in, they're now the population, they counted up to 70 down here, which is
Really?
why I'm here in the Everglades getting ready to go out in the morning to hunt for them to see if we can
Oh my
find them.
gosh. So unfortunately, Hung Do could not be with us. He is in IT, and I feel for him because I did that 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And I feel for him. So he couldn't make it with us because he still is at work. So I did tell him if he wants to jump on at any time, he can. But he's like, I'm telling you, he's out in his kayak and he's in the Everglades, and he takes phenomenal photos too. Great videos. I'm telling you guys just travel. Karen, you travel so many places. Like one minute you're in Costa Rica, next minute you're in Alaska. And it's like I told you when I saw you at the Eagle Nest over the weekend, like I truly envy you guys. I'm talking about, I love photographers, period. And Florida country, we do so much on wildlife. I'm very passionate about wildlife and protecting wildlife.
Yes. Yes.
So I really I'm a big fan of all photographers. I'm talking, and I was looking at your work, Ronald, and I love dragonflies. And I
Oh.
yes, and I've never seen a dragonfly mate, and that is some weird stuff.
Yeah, it happens midair. It's yeah.
Uh, yes, I've got to share this picture of
Sure.
Ronald's
Go ahead.
because they've got to see this because I just sat there and stared. I was showing Karen. I'm like, have you ever seen dragonflies mate? Um, and I didn't know, but I'm gonna try it. That's as big as I can make it.
You
But
do click to enlarge. There's a click to
that's
enlarge.
the male, right? How can I enlarge this? Let me see.
Click to enlarge. It says underneath. There should.
Oh, okay. Oh,
And then there's also a pop out. See the pop? Yes, there you go.
there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the male, right? That's got his head.
I think I'm not sure. Yeah, I would probably say that it is. Yes, based on
That is like the crazy. That's so alien-like right there. I don't even know what to say. But does she kill him afterwards?
I've only heard about that in spiders. Certain spiders will kill their mates, but dragonflies, no.
Okay, this is G-rated. I know. If it's all because of eagle porn. Okay, now it's dragonfly porn. I don't know, but something about that picture like really freaked me out when I saw that, and I was like, oh my gosh, like really, that's what goes on. Let's see. Linda says she needs to go to Costa. She needs a trip to Costa Rica. You like those are amazing. You had photos of toucans, monkeys. I'm going to ask each one of you this, but how did you start in photography? Was it always wildlife photography, Karen? Was it just photography in general?
No, for me, really, my vision is very poor. I cannot see birds very well. And when I got a bridge camera about 3 years ago, an SX60, and I zoomed into the eyelashes on the eagle, I was hooked. I could not believe the feather detail that I cannot see with my naked eyes. So that was it. And I've upgraded my cameras over the years, and it's gotten better and better.
So you just started doing photography 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Well, I use my cell phone, but yeah.
You sound like me. I have a Canon 50D, but that's it. Now, Ronald, you've been taking photography for a long time, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been hardcore probably since 2016, and then prior to that, more lightweight. But then now I've upgraded to all professional equipment. So I started with sunsets in Florida. I mean, Florida has the West Coast has some of the most amazing colors, most amazing sunsets. We also get some pretty amazing storms. So I really started out with landscape and lightning photography, which I still to this day do. I call it. I'm a birds and bolts guy at this point, but that's what got me started. And then I purchased a kayak in about 2012, I think it was. And when you start going out in your kayak, you see things that most people don't see because you're up really early or you're staying out after sunset. And then you start seeing wildlife. And at that point, I'm like, I need to start bringing my camera with me. Of course, I was a little nervous because, everyone has the worst fear. Well, you're going to flip your kayak. You're going to drop when you're in the water. But that's never happened. I'm just so you know, too, I do have a very large kayak as far as kayaks go. It's a Hobie Pro Angler. So it's foot powered. Yeah.
It's the fishing one.
It is a fishing one, exactly. And that's what I really started out doing. And that really got me into photography hardcore. And then I just kept upgrading. And now I have a 500 millimeter f4 lens, which actually I have right here. I'll show it.
I got to see this thing.
What it looks like.
Oh my gosh. That's like Desiree, isn't it?
Yeah. It's as long as my arm. But this is the one that I use now primarily for birding.
How heavy is that?
The lens is probably about 8 pounds, 9 pounds, and with the camera, another 2 or 3. So probably about 12 pounds I'm carrying around.
Oh my gosh.
You get used to it. I mean, and I've been a gym junkie since I'm 15 years old. So I'm
That
able
helps.
It helps a lot. It does. I mean, so I do a lot of hands-free shooting, whereas maybe a lot of folks may just be stuck on using a tripod. So I'm able to move. The problem with it, I mean, I still, don't get me wrong, I still use a tripod for certain setups. You know, if it's a bird that's not moving, I'm shooting a nest, I don't need to be holding the camera. But when it comes to fast-moving hummingbirds, like, for example, or even eagles for that matter, it really helps to be able to just react instantly. So
I'm gonna have to check. I love hummingbirds. I have a hummingbird that shows up. Well, now the hurricane took the tree down, but it would show up around about right now. Shows up and it would stay till about February. A little bitty guy would come around every time, and I tried hummingbird feeders and everything, and he just would not go to them. And I don't know if it's the same hummingbird that comes back, or is it just a juvenile that happens to come, but it's just weird. He shows up every year, and I saw him for the first time the cool morning a couple of mornings ago. It was kind of cool. He showed up and he came around the corner and the tree's gone. The flowering tree was gone. And
oh no, he's gonna lose his food source.
Yeah.
So
He came around and he stopped and he was gone. And I was like, oh no, now he's gone. So people are wanting to see pictures. They're wanting to see pictures. So I'm going to show your flamingo shots, Karen. So we're going to show some of Karen. I can't believe you only started taking photos 3 years ago, Karen. Blows my mind.
Well, I have a professional camera now. Whether I'm professional or not is up for debate, but I do have a camera that
it's very beautiful. So I'm gonna share some of your flamingo shots. So here is one.
This is Honey. She's been called Honey. She's or he or she is at Honeymoon Island. Ronald, have you been to see her?
I have, but she's gone. So I arrived, I guess, a day late and $1 short. So yeah,
she is. So she did.
Yeah, she's no longer in the spot that she was in. So
okay.
Oh wow. So is she one that came with the hurricane, or?
She is, and there were two that were on Honeymoon Island, and sadly one did perish. They found the body in the mangrove. I kind of wondered if maybe that was its partner, and that was why it hung around for so long by itself there. I'm not sure.
I didn't know the one had perished. Wow.
Yes, one died there. Mm-hmm.
Is it from injuries from the storm?
Probably. I'm not sure if they did a necropsy or not it, but it was in the mangroves right near where this one hung out for quite a few weeks.
Yeah,
that is so sad. So here, I'm going to move to your next one. Is this Honey too?
Yep. All the reflection shots were from her from that night.
They're absolutely beautiful. I love reflection shots. Those are like my favorite ones. So I'm going to keep going through. This is very beautiful. So, I have a picture perfect. We do that picture perfect contest every issue, and hands down, you would be winning.
Well, I'll have to. I'll have to submit.
I know. Karen's going to take everybody down. Why is it not? There we go. No, I don't know why it doesn't want to go to the next picture. Okay, we're gonna. Maybe it's going backwards. There we go. That's a beautiful shot.
Thank you.
I love this one, especially with the water droplets falling off. Yep. I can pick winning photos, and that's stuff I look for, attention to detail in these. Right there, the water popping up from the bill. Beautiful.
A little earlier in the day, so not reflection time yet.
They're absolutely beautiful.
I like some of the motion where I see
Now these they're juveniles, right?
Well, I think they are young birds, actually. I read that it takes 2 to 4 years for them to get full adult plumage. And those were, there were 6 that are hanging out at Shell Key.
Okay.
So that
And
was
where-
part of that group.
And where is
They're the
Shell
ones
Key at?
that were hanging, they were found on Fort DeSoto, and they've kind of moved off of Fort DeSoto to the Shell Key Preserve right there. Same general area, but a little bit offshore. So it's a little bit trickier to get to them. They're a little more isolated. So I guess maybe they're a little more comfortable. I don't know. But they seem to be finding plenty of food. They're in no hurry to leave. So that's exciting.
You have some amazing. I don't even know what to pick, Ronald, out of your photos. Like, I'm looking at your alligators, stunning, everything. What would you like me to show?
I could show
Liz with your dolphin photos.
Oh yeah, that one was published worldwide, France, England, and that one I always get accused of photoshopping because it looks too perfect.
Where is it?
Okay, let's see if we can find it for you.
One where from your kayak where the dolphins eating the fish and they're jumping up. Oh my God, I love that shot.
I gotta see it.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I could find. I know it's on my website. Give me a second.
And you see where the share screen button is on the bottom, Ronald?
Okay, I could do that. Yeah, if you want me to share, I could do a little share.
Where we're gonna have him, because I'm talking about, you can go to his website. I'm gonna type it for everybody. He's got so many phenomenal photos. I cannot just pick one. I'm talking about, you're amazing. Like, I really, Karen, I love your photos. Ronald, I love your photos.
Thank you.
I knew you needed to see his work. Yes.
When you told me, Karen, last night, and I went and looked at his stuff, I was like, wow. It's okay.
So, can you see my sharing or no?
I can.
Yeah, so I'll start.
The hummingbird.
Yeah, I'll start with the hummingbird. One of my absolute favorite. I'm just amazed. To me, they don't even seem real. Something that can move backwards and up, down, and just their movements are absolutely incredible. This is a male ruby-throated, and I've been dying to get a clear shot, which is very difficult too because they're usually in front of flowers, so it's kind of a busy background. But this shot, I was able to get it perched on a stick, and there was enough light to get what they call the gorget lit up in red, which it's funny because if you've ever seen a male hummingbird, depending how they turn, their head's all black, but if they turn a certain way, then their necks light up. And this guy did me justice. So I was very happy with that shot. Probably my favorite.
That's a beautiful shot.
Thanks. I'll go to the flamingos since we're talking flamingos. This was at Fort DeSoto when they were still in an area that was accessible through walking. I mean, we still trudged through 2 feet of water at least, or about a foot. So we trudged through water and we were able to get into position, sit still. And then it's the magic hour again with the light and the dark background and the reflection in the water. This one has many names, but I think I kind of like the name Pinkfinity. This one, actually, I sold quite a few prints already of this particular image. And that's, like I said, those are the Hurricane Idalia flamingos.
Okay.
Let me see here. Yeah. So when we were there was over 7 flamingos, or flamboyants, as they call them, or as a group of flamingos.
I love that, flamboyance.
Yes. And the gray one is a juvenile. They don't have the color yet, so they have a grayish white overtone. Let's see another one. I do also like environment shots. They're a little harder to appreciate on social media because your screen's so small, but this was also Fort DeSoto. But to me, I mean, I have a love of landscapes, clouds, lightning. So storm clouds.
I saw your lightning photos. I'm talking about, how hard is that to catch lightning?
It is difficult. The most difficult part is getting into position into a storm in time, set up, and actually have a storm that delivers visible bolts. The technicals, once you grasp the technicals, it's not that difficult technically, but the hard part is being in the right spot at the right time. And it took
Right.
me years and years to get really good at it. And last year was probably my best year ever. And, you know, you're also at the mercy of nature. So not every year is as good. This year was not a very good year for what I would call photogenic lightning. But last year was really, really good. So here's the same photo again, cropped tighter.
Okay.
Let's see.
Right here somewhere.
Is it showing up? I don't see it.
No, I don't
Okay.
know.
But everybody else can see it, or?
Can
No.
you see the? No.
I lied.
The sharing's not working. Hold on. Let me check.
Yeah, it's not working.
Let me go back. We must have lost it somehow. Share screen. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
show that
It's okay.
the infinity flamingo again too.
Oh, okay. So no one's been able to
Okay,
see it.
it says Ronald. I've never seen. Oh, here it comes. Okay, that was weird. I've never seen that before.
Oh,
Look
okay.
at that.
Okay,
my
is everyone
God.
able to see it now or no?
Now I can see
Yes.
it. Now I see it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll go back to the infinity ones. But since I have this one up, I'll just talk a little bit about this
Yeah.
one.
Well, I'll leave this up. I think it
Yeah,
was
this
my
one-
fault, Ronald.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, sometimes if somebody's sharing or if you're the lead, then you have to allow others to share. But this is also for Fort DeSoto. I was able to get the camera very low. I shoot with a Canon R5, so it has a little viewer that pops out. So it's nice to be able to hold the camera low to the water and able to get that low angle shot.
Now, where are you shooting from? Are you in a kayak? Are you?
Not in this
lake?
case. I'm not in a kayak for this case. We went into the marsh. So I guess we were treading water for probably 1,000 feet or more. And we were able to set up and just sit still. That's key. When it comes to bird watching, once you get in place, don't move. Because
Don't
then
move.
the action, don't move. Once you move, and it becomes very difficult to, everyone knew about these birds. They were in the news and everything. So on the weekend, probably nearly impossible to get a shot like this. And it was difficult enough to get it during the week. But, because everyone wants to get into position. And then as you move, you keep scaring the birds, moving and then moving them. But for this particular set of shots, we were there on a Friday late, so there wasn't as many people. We were able to get into position and just basically stay in place. And like I said, the flamingos don't mind you. They will walk right past you. And I had some of them walk within like 20 feet of me. And not that I need them to, because I have the 500 millimeter lens. So it's not a requirement, but it's always nice for certain headshots. And this one I love. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you were talking
There
about
we
water
go.
droplets. I love the water droplets. That's like an added bonus.
Yes, I'm talking about that. I think that's like my favorite when I see people that do photography with frogs on leaves and then the dew is coming down the leaf. Like, I love any type of water droplets. It's just, I'm talking about, because first off, it's very hard to catch and get it right on water droplets. I used to, when I did do photography, I still do it occasionally. I don't have big lenses like you do, but I have a great 50D, Canon 50D that still does very well. That's an art to catch stuff like that. It really is an art. And a lot of people don't understand. It's just like you think you just go and click and shoot and then it happens. It does not happen that way with water droplets.
No. And, yes, you're right. That is a common belief that you just went there with your iPhone and you pushed a button and you got your shot. It is hours and hours of waiting. It's also experience, knowing when to go. Like, this is golden hour time. So there's a lot to it. And then you got to worry about overexposing, particularly brighter subjects like white birds or pink birds. They could easily be overexposed, and then you come home and your shots would be losing a lot of detail. So there's a lot to it.
What was it like? Go ahead. Show you got another picture?
Yeah, is the sharing stopped again? It looks like every time I kill the.
I think when you go out, it does. So I'm looking for that little button to pop up.
Yeah, hold on. I'll share again. I think I see what's happening. Let's share this. There we go. So here's one of my favorite photos. This one is very popular. I call it Pinkfinity. Can you see it? Or
yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah,
Can you blow that up a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. I could zoom in.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Their eyes are so beautiful. Are they like orange, like an orange color, their eyes, or are they a pink color?
The eyes are actually like yellow. Someone sent me a meme.
Is
There was,
it?
if you're into Star Wars, I'm not that. I mean, I watch Star Wars, but the
Look at
Sith.
the neck. It's an infinity symbol. This is freaking
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a magic. That was a magic
It's a-
moment. I mean, yeah.
I don't know how
What-
you got that, Ronald. That's
Did
amazing.
did you see the infinity symbol, Ronald, before you took the photo, or did it just come out like that?
Yeah, I'm kind of zoned in. I'm watching. Whether it's flamingos or eagles or whatever it is. I'm watching their movements, and I saw them coming together. And I'm like, wait a minute, their necks. I said at some point their necks are going to cross, and of course it happens very, very quickly. I'm shooting at least 10 frames a second because there's no second chances. You can't tell the birds to please stop there and let me get this perfect 8 symbol or infinity symbol. So you kind of have to, be in the moment.
That's amazing.
Yeah, see the movement of the birds, whether, like I said, it could be bears or whatever you're shooting. And then just be ready for the shot. Have things in focus. Make sure your exposure is good. And I shoot a lot of frames a second. For me, digital photography gives you the benefit of being able to take a lot of shots really quickly. And then you find the ones that are just magic. And obviously I did see them crossing, so I'm like, oh, let me let the shutter rip. So I let the shutter rip, and then I find the perfect
Got it.
alignment. And this one really, really worked. This is one of my favorites with their heads
It's
in that
stunning.
position.
I've done it's absolutely a stunning shot.
Thank you.
I love it. What was it like when you guys heard that these flamingos had been blown in by the hurricane? What was going through your mind, Karen? I can already see the smile on the face.
I had been traveling, so I was in Alaska, and I'd just come back from Yellowstone, and I actually went to Georgia because not doing well. She ended up in the hospital, so I'm in Georgia, and here comes Idalia. I'm like, really? I from Fort Myers. A lot of your listeners are we were devastated last year by
Right. Yes.
and so it's like, and the anxiety, and it all is no, not again. Well, then it, clearly passed us and unfortunately hit around the Cedar Key area when it came on land. But then, and we got some repercussions of it as it crossed the state into Georgia. But I'm watching the news the next day and I'm like, are you kidding me? The first report were 4 of them on the Sanibel Causeway. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
Mom, you're out of the hospital. You're doing good. I'll see you later. I got to go find the flamingos. But it took a while. I mean, I didn't see them right away. I came and looked, and it was rough. But what about you, Rob?
So I heard about them on the news, and
Hi, Peggy.
yeah, and I was pretty excited because I know that to actually go and see them, you actually would go either to Cancun or the Bahamas. So to have them,
Bonaire.
yes. So to have them here in Florida, I was like, this is probably once in a lifetime chance. What are the odds that a hurricane starts in the Yucatan and blows these birds as far as Wisconsin? So I was really stoked because it is a special moment. And I heard about them further up north in Tarpon Springs, and then I heard about them in Treasure Island. And once I heard about them in Treasure Island, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, where are the odds that they're going to end up at Fort DeSoto? They seem to be heading south again. And I got a couple reports from my friends saw them in Fort DeSoto. So I ran out that Friday. As soon as I could leave work, I left and I was out at Fort DeSoto, and it paid off. I mean, these were my best shots from Fort DeSoto.
That's
I did
in
go.
Fort DeSoto? This is okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What?
This is in Fort DeSoto. This is where
Yes,
you took this
yes.
photo?
Yeah,
Oh,
these
okay.
are Fort DeSoto, and this guy, like I was telling you, one of them walked by me very, very close, so I was able to practically
They're
get
so
like a headshot.
beautiful. They're just so beautiful. Like I'm talking about very clean bird. It just amazes me. And they're that color, right? Because of what they eat. That's
Yes,
where they color from.
That's what we're told. I mean, I can't say with 100% certainty that it's always true because, spoonbills also are very colorful, and we hear the same thing that if they eat shrimp. But to be honest with you, I've never seen a spoonbill eat a shrimp, and I've seen a lot of spoonbills. So I'm sure it's part genetic and part diet too. But they're absolutely stunning.
Yeah. My husband informed me that he's, he was lived on Sanibel, and he grew up on Fort Myers Beach, and he informed me today that what was the big deal about the flamingos, and I said, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "I've seen flamingos all of my life," and I said, "No, you haven't." I said, "You're talking about a roseate spoonbill," and he said,
"Oh God,
no,
yes,
flamingo. It's a flamingo." So of course, what does he? I said, "Is this?" I showed him a picture of a roseate spoonbill. I said, "Is this your flamingo off of Sanibel?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "That's a roseate spoonbill." He goes, "I can't wait to hear everybody laughing that you're talking about flamingos like they're not here." And I go, "Okay, well, we're going to be laughing at you over your roseate spoonbill."
Oh, that's so funny. That is so funny because we get that all the time. People see my spoonbill photos and they're like, "Oh, those flamingos are gorgeous."
Yeah,
completely different.
I heard a lot of people.
Yes.
If I could find it,
Now there.
Oh my gosh, look at that!
Oh, that's pretty.
Now,
is
that the least bitter end, or what is that one?
Oh, this one here.
Yeah.
This
swallowtail.
Let me see what you're seeing. Yeah. Okay. So this one's a reddish. This is a reddish egret. This one is a swallowtail kite.
Okay, the swallowtail kite. Now, isn't that the one that will pierce it likes to pierce like stuff on barbed wire fences and stuff? The kite?
Oh, it's a shrike. That's a loggerhead shrike.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, they like to pierce their victims on barbed wire. I've seen them put snakes and lizards, and they're just speared through the barbed wire.
Their nickname is Butcher Bird.
Yes, and they're very small. They're not that large.
No, they're tiny.
Really? I have the kingfishers that every evening are across my pond getting mosquitoes and stuff. And that's got to be a tough bird to photograph too, the kingfisher.
Oh, they're terrible.
Oh, it's nearly
awful. They're awful. They suck.
No.
I love their mohawks. They got great mohawks.
Yeah, they're very difficult. Oh, here we go. This is the shot I wanted to show you because you had brought up, and it's funny. Someone saw this shot and they're like, "You need to show this to all the Northerners."
The
These are flamingos. Very big difference.
Oh my God, that's perfect. That's awesome.
I gotta take a screenshot of this really quick to show my husband.
Yes. Flamingo and roseate spoonbills.
Yes. I took a screenshot of it. That's a great. There he goes. There's the difference. He could not see the difference. Now there's the difference. They are.
That one's
so
beautiful.
that is so pretty, and it's like it's a juvenile is just as big as the adult one.
Yes, that's
right. That's a juvenile on the left.
Correct. Yes, and they grow up fast. I mean, size wise, but the colors will be another year or two.
Mm-hmm.
Now, doing wildlife photography, I know that you can get in some really hairy moments. A good friend of mine that's I don't know if you've heard of William R. Cox, but he's a fabulous photographer. And he was actually built a blind, floating blind, so he could get the shot of this mammoth alligator. Let's say that he was taking photos and the alligator decided had enough, wasn't its day for photos, and decided to take the blind, and he saved his camera and he saved himself, but destroyed his floating blind and took it over.
Wow.
So what's your scariest moment, Ronald, you've ever been in taking wildlife photography?
When I almost had my kayak flipped, and remember I have a very, very large one. So I was out actually fishing, and the manatees in the wintertime will stay near warm water. And a Hobie Pro Angler has pedals, which go about 15 inches below the kayak. So I'm pedaling along, and I must have tapped the back of a sleeping manatee, and all of a sudden my kayak starts lifting like 2 feet in the air, and I'm like, "Oh God, please don't flip me!" And it, like I said, it just turned out to be a manatee with a massive, massive tail. So that's probably my scariest moment. I mean, I've also been around alligators, which make me feel uncomfortable, but I've never had any issues with alligators.
Right. What about you, Karen?
Well, I don't normally have issues with alligators either, but one time, and it was 3 years ago, I decided to kayak to the deep hole on the Myakka River in April. The water level was very low. It was gator mating season, and I was by myself. And I got out to the deep hole, and there was a whole conglomeration of gators on the left. They all went in the water as I was went in, but everybody was fine, it seemed. And I was about halfway across the hole, and one rammed my kayak with his mouth open. And fortunately, I'm still here. He rammed me right where I was sitting. So my center of balance was very good. Had he hit me in the front or the back of I would have tipped over, and that would have been all she wrote, because there are thousands of gators bigger than my kayak in that deep hole.
Oh, you would have been done over in that area.
I will tell you that I have not been back there. I will not do that kayak again, even with friends. I do kayak Myakka at the top, on the top. But I won't go to the deep hole anymore. Maybe when the water level's higher and I'm with a group of people, but that scared me.
Did you see the weight coming at you from the alligator? They
No,
push a weight.
I mean, it shocked me. It took me by surprise, because I was looking in the other direction at all the alligators that had just gone in the water. And the next thing I know, wham! And it made a loud noise. And there were some people on the bank. And when I got over to the bank, I was shaking, and they were like, I said, "Did you hear that?" They're like, "Yeah, did you hit one with your paddle?" I'm like, "No, it charged me." So, I had to gather my wits about me and calm down and paddle back. And I paddled back, and nothing happened. But that was pretty scary.
Serious. Oh my God.
It gave me pause. I have a lot of respect for them.
What is the behavior of a flamingo? Do they have different behaviors of other birds that you're used to doing photography with? Or I know, Ronald, you had mentioned that they'll just walk right past you and don't really bother, you don't bother them.
Yeah, I would say they're much more tolerant of people, but if you move quickly, it doesn't matter what kind of bird it is. If you move quickly towards them, they're going to move away from you. But if you settle in and you can move slowly, they will accept your presence. And of course, with any bird, the lower you stay, the less of a threat you appear to be. So, it's also key to stay low. And they're also very gregarious. I mean, there's, groups of 6 or 7 typically, and they make all sorts of noises, and they love to chase each other. Sometimes the youngsters, there's a couple shots if I could find them, but where the youngsters are being killed by the adult. So
they're kind of goofy. I was watching videos when I was making that video for us today, and I was looking at different videos, and they're quite comical. Them bickering back and forth with each other, chasing each other around, lifting their feathers up. Like, what is that all about when they lift their feathers up? Do you know? Because or their wings up. They lift their wings up, and it's like they'll all just start lifting wings at the same time. What is that all about? A lot of people don't realize the wings are jet black up underneath, right?
They are
black.
Yeah, you can see it here actually, where there is black and right here.
Their necks are awesome.
Yeah, I guess that's just showing dominance. It's like, I guess any animal will try to show dominance over another one. I was cracking up at this photo because it reminds me. This one reminds me of every yard in Florida that has a plastic flamingo.
Yes.
The classic pose, right?
Yeah, that's it. There's the one-legged stance.
Yeah. And they're, like you said, yes, they are. They're very social. I believe, I don't know if they're like eagles. I mean, eagles will mate for life, right? I don't know if flamingos mate for life, but they definitely
I
have.
think I read that they do.
Yeah. And you can see it. I mean, just the way certain ones hang out with each other. Yeah, they're great to photograph. They're much more entertaining than many other types of birds.
Ronald,
Let's
one
see.
thing that I noticed about the wild flamingos, I don't know if you, because I also photographed them
No, they
a
get
lot
divorced
at
every
Sarasota.
year.
They do? Did you just
It
look
says
it up?
flamingos. Yes, it says flamingos get divorced every year and find a new
Oh,
mate.
really? Oh, so
Every year.
Okay.
Yeah, they mate one time with the and it's the male moves on.
oh, really?
So
Okay, so
yeah,
they're not
they mate one time. He has some babies and he leaves her. He moves
Okay.
on to somewhere else. I'm like, it's so funny. It says they mate for 1 year, get divorced, and find a new mate the next year. And
Okay.
it says flamingo mating rules is learn the funky chicken. Um, it says flamingos are very good dancers. They twist and preen, and they do the funky flamingo with the funky chicken with flapping their wings and displaying their backs. So, have y'all noticed any of that going on? The funky chicken.
I have seen
That's
them
a
do
beautiful
that. I've
thing.
seen them do that in Sarasota Jungle Gardens, and one will start, and then they will all start with that wing spread, and then they will start with the noises,
Right.
and then they'll start moving. It's fascinating. But I've also noticed that the ones in the wild have much longer legs. Did you notice that, Ronald? They seem like their legs are a lot longer than the ones in captivity that I've seen.
Yes, I think because I believe ours that flew here are American flamingos, and the other ones are a Caribbean flamingo. So there's different types of flamingos. I'm no expert on flamingos, but I know there's different species. So I think that probably has a lot to do with it. But it's funny what you were saying because I have seen flamingos in captivity, and flamingo gardens in Fort Lauderdale. You're right. They would. It seems like when a plane would fly over, one would start flapping, and then all of a sudden, all the others would start flapping their wings at the same time. So, yeah, very, very social birds. But those, I think, are the Caribbean flamingos.
Okay.
So, one of the questions were, somebody wanted to know where flamingos sleep. Does anybody know that answer? I'm trying to look it up. All I see is flamingos sleep standing up.
They sleep standing up in the water with their heads tucked.
But half of their brain does not go to sleep. Half of their brain is always on alert.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it says. It says that when a flamingo is in deep sleep, they will have their heads on their backs. They eat with their heads upside down, sleep with their heads on their backs, and often rest by standing for long periods of time on one leg.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they do get up in trees.
That makes sense. I mean, I have never seen a flamingo sleep per se, but if they're like other wading birds, egrets, spoonbills, they do exactly as described that the flamingo does. They'll sit on one leg, their head will be cocked behind, and they'll rest. So it's very, very similar behavior. Of course, they always have to be on the lookout for something that wants to get them. But typically, they'll sleep in shallow waters. I've seen like spoonbills sleep in shallow water. So I guess if anything makes a noise, they'll know and get alerted.
Yeah, I wonder if I'm talking about the areas they're in. Like you have alligators, you have sharks in some of the places. Like, did you see the video that Hung had with all the bull sharks? And I think he said yes. Oh my gosh, he has a great video. He's in his kayak and like the bull sharks' fins or top fins way out of the water. It's very shallow. And they're getting stuck, like they're pushing their way through. And I think he said they were all from like 4 feet to 8 feet long. And it's just a whole school of bull sharks. And he's in his kayak out there. That's something I would not want to bump me from underneath the kayak. No. I don't know. I'm a big chicken when it comes to stuff like that. I'm like, oh, but the kayak that you use, I know very well because a friend of mine has one, and they're great. They have the live bait wells in them, and everything. They're the coolest kayak, definitely if you're a fisherman. But it's got to be
And
pretty cool using it for photography too, because you have all these great spaces for fishing stuff that you can use for your photography equipment.
correct. And the key is what makes it a great fishing vessel also makes it a great photography vessel because it's hands free. So you're pedaling. That's how you propel the kayak. Now, don't get me wrong. You can't always do that. You do have to use a paddle when it gets really shallow, but you're pretty much hands free. You're sitting in a chair that's above the kayak. It's very comfortable for long waits. It saves your lower back. They're really, really great kayaks. I mean, they're expensive, but they're very stable, very comfortable, and they work great for fishing or for photography because I actually do more photography now than I do with fishing at this point. So,
Oh, do you really?
yeah, I kind of repurposed it. I mean, I still fish, but not nearly as much with all. Florida's had so many water quality issues, especially where I am in Tampa Bay with the red tides and all that. So I kind of gave that a back seat. I do go up further north where the water's a little nicer.
I got a question to ask you since you just said you're from Tampa Bay, and was that really true that when the hurricane was coming, it sucked all the water out of Tampa Bay, or was that just BS going on?
No, it was true, and I forgot which hurricane it was. There was people walking out on Bayshore. I don't know if
it was Idalia. I think it was Idalia that did it.
No, I think it was Ian. It was last year, Scarlett. It was Ian.
It was Ian,
No,
and I'm sure you find it online. It was absolutely true.
It was Ian.
It was Ian. Ian sucked all the water out of Tampa Bay.
Because I saw pictures and it was just hard to believe. And, sometimes you're not for sure if stuff is photoshopped or whatever. And then I heard people saying that wasn't true.
It was true. I have a friend that lives over there by Davis Island. And he said, there was people walking out in the middle of the bay. And he said the amount of stuff you would see in there, like beads, all the beads from
Ybor City?
Yeah. And he said, unfortunately, sadly, there was scooters in there. Those electric scooters, people were throwing those in there. He said it exposed all that, which is unfortunate.
Oh my God.
I know that's a whole other topic.
Polluting. I thought I had my ringer up. Sorry about that. Absolutely polluting our environment. Just
we can have a whole discussion on that. I don't know how you stop it, but it's definitely a problem.
No, I don't know either, because it comes down to each individual. Honestly, like I don't know how you go and dump something like that in water and you don't even think about like gas and oil and stuff like that getting in, and like what happens to wildlife. I was having an interesting conversation with someone a couple of weeks ago, and they were telling me because I'm interested in cloud seeding. I've always been very interested in making rain and so forth in different countries when droughts are coming for farming techniques. So they were asking me, did I know that our government tried to stop hurricanes with it's the stuff that the beads that you put in plants and it holds moisture and you just put your beads.
Yes. Okay.
They supposedly, now I don't know this for 100%. I'm actually going to go look this up. They claim that the Navy was sent out and they dropped all of this stuff into a hurricane to see if it would suck the moisture up. This was like a large quantity. And this was like back in the 50s or 60s. What happened was this stuff went into the water and then marine life inhaled it and it killed them. So there was a lot of fish and stuff. A lot of marine life died. It just bloated them up. They couldn't get rid of it and they inhaled it. So I am going to look that up. I'm not 100% sure that happened, but I have a very good source that told me this story. I don't think they would have told me the story, but I thought, well, that's crazy, them trying to stop a hurricane that way. But I guess, they were trying to figure it out, but it just blows my mind how, everyone just doesn't think about the wildlife. Like, I see people talking about bobcats running around in neighborhoods and bears coming around in neighborhoods and all of that. Where are they supposed to go? We're just building everywhere. Um,
Yes.
they have nowhere to go. So it's just sad that to think one day there won't be any more flamingos. They're not going to be any more bears. Like, how can you imagine a world without wildlife?
No,
No, it
And
sounds
that-
like
not worth living.
no.
You know,
Well, I mean, on the happier note, there are some efforts here in Florida to save a lot of the land, the wildlife corridor.
yes,
Path of the Panther, that's worth seeing, and Carlton Ward has done a great
Carlton
job.
Ward's amazing.
Yeah, Carlton Ward's done a great job of helping preserve a lot of the farms because I mean I kind of get it. If you inherit 1,000 acres and you don't want to do farming, so what do you do with the land, right? You sell it to the highest bidder, and that's pretty much
Yes.
what's been happening because everyone's been moving here. But if you watch Path of the Panther, he talks about how we're going to cut off Florida. It'll just be little green spots here and there, and the animals won't be able to travel north or south anymore. So thankfully, like I said, he's had a lot of success. So if you get a chance to support him, watch his movie, and he's got books online, and he just talks about his efforts, and they actually got the state to back some of it. I think DeSantis backed some of the efforts to preserve thousands of acres instead of turning into housing developments or highways. They will leave it to green space, so the animals can travel from the Everglades all the way up north to northern Florida or Georgia.
Right. Well, it's amazing with Carlton's project too, and Florida Country's worked with him on several things. It's amazing to see that the only way that those panthers could have got on the other side of the Kissimmee River is they swam it, and they're over there and they're breeding, and there's more and more sightings of these panthers. So it is really awesome, and I'm talking about he is an amazing photographer. Period. But he does a lot with the ranchers and farming and everything in the state of Florida. He's very active. So I would love to have him on here. In fact, I need to reach out to him because he just does so much in the wildlife corridor. Even though we've done articles on it, I would just like to hear it from him. I'm glad you brought that up, Ronald, because I'm making that list right now. I'm going to reach out to him. He's such a busy guy now.
Yes.
He's really come a long way.
Yeah,
So,
my wife and I saw him in Tampa for the debut of Path of the Panther. So
yes, it's great. Have you seen it, Karen?
I
Path
have
of the
not.
Panther?
It's on my list. I need to watch it. All my
gotta
friends are
watch
like,
it.
you have to see it. You have to see it. No, I will watch it
So,
for sure.
what are you looking forward to the most tomorrow, Karen? I'm telling you, you got
70 flamingos. 70.
Yeah.
70 flamingos. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And you have fellow photographers with you now that have come on this journey with you. So
Yes.
before
and Hung Do is going to guide us tomorrow.
and Hondo better
He's
be there,
gonna
right?
take us. He knows where they are, so he's our guy.
Carol. Yes, Carol, I totally agree with you, Carol. So we need to do whatever we can to protect the wildlife, and that's so true. A lot of us have come together, Ronald, from the Southwest Florida Eagles, and that's how I met Karen. Have you been to that nest?
Ronald?
Which you're talking about? I mean, there's so many.
Harriet,
Ozzy and Harriet. Have you been to that nest, the Southwest Florida?
Yeah, that's the Dick Pritchett one, right? Or,
yes.
Yeah, I know exactly where that is. I've been there. For me, it's far, and I actually do Eagle Watch here in my area. So, interesting fact, which I never knew, we have the most nesting pairs of eagles in all of the United States. We may not have the most eagles overall, but the most nesting eagles come to Florida every year. There's, last count, I think it was like 2,500 nesting pairs come here every year, and they're here now, and they do mate for life. Of course, if a mate dies or gets killed, then they do find another mate. So October is a great month to see them because the ones that don't have mates yet will actually try to find a mate, and they do their little ritual where the towns they'll invert, and it's absolutely amazing. I've seen.
Have you seen that, Ronald? Have you seen that?
I've seen it in practice where the youngsters were inverted. I actually have pictures of it from Lakeland where they're inverted. I'd have to try to find the photo, but it was pretty amazing. So the youngsters will practice that. They'll practice that maneuver where one's here and one's upside down, and their talons are up like this. I'll see if I can find the photo for you. Give me a minute or two. But
so I've always heard that about eagles, and I asked the group this. We actually do a Florida, the country, what I can't even think of it right now. Eagle country. I went to total blank, but we do the eagle country. And have you ever seen the Southwest Florida Eagles, Harriet or Harriet, any of them ever do that aerial acrobatics during mating time? Because I have never noticed them to do that. But this is supposed to be something they do all the time, and it's like I just never have heard of them doing that.
I think they may have done it today. The
aerial
M15 and his new mate, when they soar.
Liz said yes.
Really, they do it way high up, not necessarily down low where we can see them. But I'm pretty sure
they supposedly will spiral all the way.
Sometimes they'll come all the way down to the ground. Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen photos of it, but never in person.
Oh my gosh, Liz, did you see this today? What happened to Robert?
Because of the trees. Harriet was on. They were fighting. They will also fight. Yeah.
I'm looking at that eagle shot, but
okay. We lost your video. Let's see. She said you couldn't see it because of the trees. So I was wondering, that I've never heard of the Southwest Florida Eagles doing it, but I've always been told that they always do it. And Lime said that they caught Harriet doing that a few years back. I would love to just see it. I would love to just see it with my own eyes, because they say it's amazing that they will spiral all the way to Earth and then they let go right before the ground. And I've also heard sometimes that some have not let go when they've come to the ground. Now, one thing about you, weren't you out shooting grizzly bears in Alaska?
Yes. I was.
You and Tito are crazy. You and Saunders are nuts. Have you ever done grizzly bears, Ronald?
I have not. That's a bucket list trip. I definitely need to get out and do the bear thing.
What is that like? Are you how close are you to these grizzly bears?
Okay, so in Yellowstone, the rangers are everywhere and they make sure that you are very safe. In Alaska, if you get eaten by a bear, there's no one telling you to get away from the bears. So, but I was shooting them. There's a place in Alaska. There's several places in Alaska, but Brooks Falls. I didn't get there this year, but I did go last year. Brooks Falls, you can closer to that apex predator than anywhere else on Earth. Some of the bears are feet away from you. I was shooting with my 100 to 500 at 100 millimeters and backing up. That's how close they were. But you're shooting from a boardwalk, and they're in the water and on the Russian River, and there were fishermen in the river fishing, and the photographers were on the boardwalk. So there were fishermen between the bears and us. So I figured if the bears are going to go after someone, they're going to go after the fishermen before they go after the photographers. And we don't. So, but we were pretty close. I would say the closest, not quite as close on the Russian River as I was at Brooks Falls, but pretty close. Maybe about, 100 feet from them as they're walking in the river. 100 to 200 feet away. I mean, they could have charged if they wanted to, but
Nope.
We all had
count
bear
me
spray
out.
at the ready. Some of the fishermen had pistols, had guns, but it's they're fast. They move very fast.
Did you hold on, Ronald? I'm gonna pull this in. Did you get to visit
Oh, look at
Eagle
there!
Town
Oh
in
my God, look
Alaska?
at that shot.
Oh wow.
Ronald, was that Lake Hancock?
Yes, it is. That was
Yeah,
the only
okay.
time that was relatively low to the ground. They didn't actually lock, but that's the closest I've seen that kind of behavior. And it's more of a juvenile. They're, I guess, practicing with an adult for when it's his time to find his mate and do it for real.
Night,
That is a
Essie.
badass shot. I love it. Wow.
I know. What's that? Okay, so speaking of bucket list, Karen, what is on your bucket list to photograph?
Okay, well, when
What's
my
something?
husband wins the lottery, I'm gonna go to Churchill for the polar bears and Galapagos, and I got to go back to Costa Rica, and I'm going back to Alaska next year. I'm just going to drive my car, and I would like to go to Antarctica to see the penguins. Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Ronald?
For landscape photography, I want to do Iceland. That's bucket list. And for wildlife, I probably want to just go back to Costa Rica again. Colombia also has my interest too. I've seen some of my photographer friends, and Colombia apparently has a lot of exotic birds as well. I think maybe even more than Costa Rica, but I'm told it's more difficult to find them because they're spread out much further. Whereas Costa Rica, it's much smaller space, so you could probably see a lot more. But yeah, I would say those two.
Now the wildlife in Costa
and Borneo
Rica is like everywhere, right?
Borneo. I want to go see those the orangutans.
Orangutan.
Costa
Yeah, I
Rica
have
is
a lot of
amazing.
bucket list trips. Yeah, Costa Rica is amazing, and you know what? I forgot to mention. I guess that there's so many, but Safari, Africa. I mean, come on,
Oh,
big
of
cat.
course, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I've not done that yet, but that's up there too. That would probably be tied with Alaska, maybe. There's a lot of great places to see, but yeah, I guess you know what? If I had to say, if I had one last trip left, I'd have to say I would do a safari. That would probably be the top of my list. Africa, and I know the problem with Africa is so large. I mean, I actually did some study.
Can you blow that picture up, Ronald?
Oh,
Can
which
you
one?
blow that picture up? That is so cool.
Because I was inverted.
Okay,
I got that joke. Yeah, I got that joke all the time from this photo. Yeah.
Marie's in here. Marie's from our Eagle Country podcast, and she's another great photographer too. So many photographers.
Yeah, that's
just a cool shot, and I can't believe that Liz said that it was. Look at that.
This was more of a defense posture, I think. And once again, once you sit in the field and you wait, like I saw this coming because there was an eagle perched high up in a tree, and then the juveniles were flying by. I'm like, oh, something's going to happen here. And when the juveniles flew by, the adult jumped up and made the other one jump up or turn sideways.
Wow. So is this like the parent of the juveniles or no?
Not necessarily. No, not necessarily, because the parents kind of leave, once. So the typical nesting season, the typical nesting season in Florida is from, lay the eggs November, December, and then raise the young until about April, May. And of course, there's exceptions to that. If they lose their clutch, then they'll reclutch. Sometimes they'll reclutch in January and they'll be here till late May. But the typical season is November through, let's say, April or May. And then that's it. Then the adults are on their own. The juveniles are on their own. And from what I'm told, the success rate is only 50%. So if there's two eaglets, chances are only one's going to make it to 4 or 5 years old.
Our eagle season starts October 1st, and it started October 1st.
Yes, yeah, it does. I mean, technically it starts, yes, because actually Eagle Watch expects the report to be done starting now.
we're down here in Fort Myers. We're constantly on eagle watch. we haven't taken a break.
I see
It's
them. They don't leave the area really. Our guys are around.
Yeah, they stay around all year round.
Oh, they do. They
They
stay
move
around all
over.
year. Okay.
Oh yeah, they move to like the cell tower. They'll go over to the cell tower for a while, or they go somewhere else. But they pretty much stay around. I was talking to someone, and they were saying that ours, Florida eagles, they really don't migrate. Why would they want to? They're in Florida. The only thing that probably upsets them is the hurricanes later. But yeah, Marie says they stay within the territory. The food source is plentiful all year, so there's no reason for them to leave. So,
But they are harder to find.
Yeah, they are. It's not.
They're not
Yeah,
as
it's not the same. Because I mean, I'll tell you from my experience. Circle B, you'll see them now September, October, and you'll see them maybe right up easily. You'll see them up until let's say April. After that, yeah, it's
few and far
very
between.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know where you
that's
find
a
them,
great place.
Ronald? You know where they are? They're at the dump. They're at the dumps.
Yes, they
That's
are.
what I hear.
That's
Hey,
where the-
all my family are hunters and everything, and they say that the eagles are as just a vulture in a tuxedo.
Yeah, I know.
They say you'll see all these vultures over with red roadkill and one eagle hanging out with them, or up in the dump. They're all. If you go to that Punta Gorda dump, they're
Oh, yeah.
everywhere up at the top. There's tons of eagles at the top of that dump.
I
Really?
have a friend whose husband is the fleet manager for one of the dumps out near Lake Okeechobee, and I asked him in March if he would give me a tour. And so I went out, and I got a hard hat on, and he drove me around in the truck, and I shot the eagles all over the dump. And I asked him, do they go away in the summer? And he said, absolutely not. They are here 24/7. They're here all the time. So
Okay.
they're hanging out where they're not harder and just get free food.
Hi, Marie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's I've had a great time with you guys, and Ronald, I'd like to get in touch with you, both of you. So in Florida
Absolutely.
country, we actually do profiles on photographers, and I would love to showcase your wildlife photography and do like maybe you could pick out your best photos, and then kind of we do like a photo essay and share it with our readers. I think that's like between our recipes is number one, and then the most read articles in our magazine is always wildlife. If it pertains to wildlife, they're there. So I really appreciate you guys taking your time tonight and coming on and sharing your flamingo stories. And Karen, I hope that you guys have an amazing day tomorrow.
Me too.
And I look forward to seeing your photos. And
me too.
Ronald,
Wow.
I'm so happy I met you. I'd love to keep in contact.
Thank you.
And
Absolutely. I appreciate
definitely cover stuff. And thanks, guys, for always staying. I really appreciate you guys spend your hour, and in fact, a little more than an hour, but you guys always come on and support us. And I really, really appreciate that so much. And I'm glad we could bring the flamboyance to you.
Exactly.
That's gonna be my new word. The flamboyant. I thought it was like just like they're very proud of themselves and very flashy. That's what I thought that meant. So you can
somebody chose the name well. That was a well chosen name. But
Absolutely.
yes, it was. When she said you had told me last night, oh, we've got to get Ronald because he's all about the flamboyance, and I thought, well, you're talking about like, oh, he put a lot of flair into his photos.
Well, they are.
I was like, I had to ask Karen, because she kept using the term. I said, okay, what is this flamboyant thing? What is it? When she told me that, I was like, wow, I was totally thought this was like flamingo going, look at me.
now there's a lot of jargon. There's a lot of jargon when it comes to birds.
Okay, well, good. I'm going to have to learn it. Well, guys, yeah, we have dragonfly porn, Dale. You're right. We've got eagle porn. We went to dragonfly porn. I don't know what type of wildlife porn will come up next, but I'm sure it will come up. All right, guys.
Thank
You
you.
have a
good
great
night.
night. Good night,
Take care.
everyone.
All
Thank you so
right.
much.
Good
Bye.
night.